What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know. And President Biden's got some major news for us here today that we have to talk about here today. We cover everything here on our YouTube channel, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. Remember, the new videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. We have several different things to talk about here today. Let's jump right in. President Biden has announced a multi-tier step process to reduce the cost of gas and the cost of oil and reduce the price of inflation, which is going on here in the United States. And the first tier is to reduce 180 million barrels from the strategic oil reserves here. You can see this headline here: Biden oil move aims to cut gas prices fairly significantly. Fairly significantly. And one could argue this has already begun. This has already begun because the price of oil has already dropped to $99 a barrel for WTI crude. And this is actually interesting as well because we're already seeing other countries start to announce that they as well are already cutting off Russian oil as well, which would actually make the price of oil go higher. We'll get to that here in a second as well. You could also see the breaking news here down below. Germany could nationalize parts of Russian oil and gas giants, and other countries are announcing that they're going to be stopping Russian oil as well, which actually makes the price of oil go higher. But yet the price of oil has gone lower. But that does not mean that the price of oil won't go higher here in the next couple days. You know, the price of oil seesaws very quickly. Here's kind of let's go back to the price of oil and the oil reserves here for a moment. So number one, Biden's going to be releasing 1 million barrels of oil per day over the next 6 months, or 180 million barrels of oil over the next 180 days. Now, some people say that this is not what the strategic oil reserves are for, but some people say that people need relief from sky-high gas prices, the highest they have ever been. And with the war in Russia probably not going to be ending anytime soon, especially with Russia drafting 135,000 more men into the war against their own will. These aren't men that signed up for the war on their own accord. These are men being drafted. They don't have a choice to go into the war. And you can also see here, Russia is now ordering more troops from Georgia to Ukraine, the country of Georgia, not the state, but now ordering more troops from Georgia to Ukraine as well. Doesn't look like the war is going to be over anytime soon, which also means high gas and high oil and that whole situation likely be going on for a long time. So even though gas is or oil, I should say, has come down temporarily, remember it could literally spike up again here in a few days. I will keep you up to date on that. But here's what President Biden had to say next. This is very interesting. Check this out.
President Biden has announced the release of 1 million barrels of oil a day from the nation's Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the largest release from the National Reserve in its history. The move is the latest effort by the administration to lower gas prices. President Biden continued to blame Putin and his war in Ukraine for the record high prices.
Our prices are rising because of Putin's actions. There isn't enough supply. And the bottom line is, if we want lower gas prices, we need to have more oil supply right now. Between ramping up production in the short term and driving down demand in the long term, we can free ourselves from our dependence on imported oil from across the world. Look, I know gas prices are painful. I get it. My plan's going to help ease that pain today and safeguard against tomorrow. I'm going to continue to use every tool at my disposal to protect you from Putin's price hike.
Energy prices have been spiking since Russia invaded Ukraine, destabilizing the global energy market. This marks the third time the U.S. has tapped its strategic reserves in the past 6 months. The oil will be made available for about 6 months, beginning in May. Next week, executives from 6 of the largest oil companies will testify to Congress about the surging gas prices.
Right now, oil and gas industry is sitting on nearly 9,000 unused but approved permits for production on federal lands, or more than 1 million unused acres they have a right to pump on. Families can't afford that companies sit on their hands. So, to help execute this first part of my plan, I'm calling for a use it or lose it policy. Congress should make companies pay fees on wells on federal leases they haven't used in years and acres of public land they're hoarding without production. Companies that are already producing from these wells won't be affected, but those sitting on unused leases and idle wells will either have to start producing or pay the price for their inaction. Look, the action I'm calling for will make a real difference over time. But the truth is, it takes months, not days, for companies to increase production. That's why the next part of my plan is so important. Today, I'm authorizing the release of 1 million barrels per day for the next 6 months, over 180 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. This is a wartime bridge to increase oil supply until production ramps up later this year. And it is by far the largest release of our national reserve in our history. It will provide a historic amount of supply for a historic amount of time, a 6-month bridge to the fall. And we'll use the revenue from selling the oil now to restock the Strategic Petroleum Reserve when prices are lower. So we'll be ready. We'll be ready for future emergencies.
So, as you can see there, President Biden says that there's over 9,000 leases of land that oil and gas companies have that they're not using, of land. And they're proposing a use it or lose it um, proposal where they'll have to pay fines on it, or we'll have to see what the proposals are. But this is what the gas companies do, is that they have all these leases of land, and they've used the leases or bought the leases years ago, and they scoop them up so other companies can't take them, and then they just sit on them for years and years and years and years, and then they blame the government for sky high gas prices and say, "Oh, we're being stifled by the government for supply, and we can't make more oil." And there's you heard him. There's 9,000 leases that they're not using to make more oil. And, there's always two sides to a story. So this is, the oil companies, and this is, what's going on here. As I showed you, the price of oil has come down dramatically, but yet the price of gas is still pennies from an all-time high, when we're not anywhere near an all-time high. Remember, the price of oil is now at $99 a barrel when it was at 135 or 140 just a few weeks ago. So why are we not 30% lower on gas? Because they're literally taking advantage of us. And this is what big oil companies do to take advantage of the American people. They say, "Oh, we're not allowed to make more oil. The government's stifling us." When they have 9,000 leases across the country of major, leases of land that they could be using, but they're not. And then sky high gas prices, when the price of oil is 25 or 30% lower than it was, and yet gas is still just a few pennies below the all-time high from when it was 30% higher. So don't let big oil companies fool you. They're just literally making off with billions and billions of dollars of your and our money here that we're paying for gas on a daily basis. It's sad. It's sad. And that's the rhetoric that they want to fool you as they take our money every day when we go to fill up gas. Remember, it's not just gas either. It's the price of food and eggs and bread and butter and everything you buy. Because remember, everything has to be shipped to the stores. Okay, you go to buy food that had to be shipped via a semi truck there. And then when you go to buy $100 worth of groceries, all that is inflation. All that is the higher price because of gasoline and oil and inflation, and all that is priced in there because it had to be shipped there. It had to be made. Everything is kind of priced in there, and all this kind of adds up. It's really sad. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Another major thing here that happened yesterday is Amazon workers on Staten Island voted for the first time ever for the company's first union. Remember, Amazon is the second largest employer in the United States with over 1 million employees in the U.S. Here's kind of what happened. It's a very David and Goliath situation. Check this out.
We got the juggler. We went for the juggler. And we went for the top dog because we want every other industry, every other business to know that things have changed. We going to unionize. We're not going to quit our jobs anymore. To the first union in American history.
Yeah. Wait a minute. We got to thank Amazon because they made this all possible.
Today, Amazon workers at a Staten Island warehouse successfully voted to unionize. That is the first time that has ever happened at any of the company's U.S. facilities. It may be one of the biggest wins for organized labor in a generation, and it was a battle that was fought tooth and nail. It's not the only Amazon warehouse trying to unionize right now, as we've covered here on the show before. In Bessemer, Alabama, they just had a do-over election after the first was invalidated. The results are still too close to call, with over 400 contested ballots remaining. Now, in response to the successful election in New York, Amazon issued a statement that reads in part, quote, "We're disappointed with the outcome of the election in Staten Island because we believe having a direct relationship with the companies is best for our employees." They also indicated they're considering filing objection based on what they say they saw as undue influence by the National Labor Relations Board, among other options. But this comes amid an incredible shift towards labor militancy across the country. And this victory against Amazon could spell a broader shift in the long decline of organized labor here in the U.S.
Yeah, and actually, according to statistics right now, support for unions is actually at its highest since 1965 right now. So unions or support for unions has waned over the last several decades as they've kind of just fallen out of favor. And now they've really fallen back into favor, especially as a lot of people are unhappy with wages, and now recently inflation. Remember, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25. I think there's 20 states. It's hard to keep up with every single state whether they're still at minimum wage or not. But last I checked, it was 20 states are still at $7.25 minimum wage. So yeah, it's insane. Because remember that each state can pass their own minimum wage at a higher rate. That doesn't mean that you have to work for minimum wage. Remember, it's a free market, so you can just choose to go work somewhere else if you want a higher wage. You can choose to go work somewhere else if you want better working conditions. That's the free market capitalism society. But you can also choose to unionize. And that is apparently a new movement going on here in the United States. It's the highest since 1965. Senator Bernie Sanders says on Twitter here today or yesterday, says, congratulations to at Amazon Labor Union, which is brand new now, in Staten Island for their historic organizing victory. They took on one of the most powerful corporations in America and showed that workers are sick and tired of being exploited while corporation profits soar. And they did this without like lawyers and a bunch of funding and a bunch of money. It was literally just kind of a David versus Goliath situation because, Amazon is worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it was just kind of a bunch of regular old average everyday workers that have now formed a union, and they're going to be kind of going against Amazon, the corporation. So we'll have to see how it ends up going. Senator Bernie Sanders also tweets here, quote, while 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, remember it was 63%, he says corporate profits hit a new record high in 2021. So despite of us being in a pandemic, corporate profits are now at a new record all-time high. Yeah, so that shows just the disparity of what's going on here in the United States. 64% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, but corporate profits hit a new record all-time high. Yeah, so this just shows why a lot of people are just really at a disparity on what's going on here with our country. Yeah, and let me know your thoughts. I mean, do you think unions are a good thing or a bad thing? Unions have fallen out of favor here over the last couple decades because, I'm not sure. The thing about unions is, my dad was in a union. He worked at a grocery store for like 40 years. Um, he worked in the dairy department, just an average regular guy, really hard worker. In fact, he worked 2, 3 jobs a lot of times. And I know the thing about union is he had to pay union dues, but he had a pension. He had a pension, so that was one of the good things, is that he had a pension. Sad thing nowadays is that pensions are going away. And that's why I mentioned in a previous videos, if you don't have a pension, you got to save for retirement. The thing about, I think a lot of people are realizing nowadays is Social Security is just not enough to live on. You got to save, you got to make your own pension nowadays if you don't have a pension. So a pension, basically what they would do is they would take a little bit out of your paycheck, every paycheck, if you don't know that, to save for your pension, and then the company would match. So they would take a little bit out of your paycheck for most pensions, and that would be your pension. They would take a little bit out, and then the company would match a little bit, and then that would be your pension. It's pretty much exactly the same thing as a 401k, okay, where you would take a little bit out of your paycheck, company would match a little bit, and then that would be your 401k. It's almost the exact same thing. Um, but if you don't save over time, and if you go to any paid financial advisor, um, I'm not a paid financial advisor or anything, but if you go to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a financial advisor, they would almost all give this exact same advice. And I've learned this along the way. My father-in-law, Mike, who's Laurel's father, has given me really, really good advice over the years. He's an accountant, and I've learned a lot from him, and I've learned a lot about managing money over the years. And really, really good advice that I've learned over time is that you gotta save money. You gotta save money because if you no matter how much money you make, even if you make minimum wage, even if you save a dollar a day, you have to save money. Even if it's a few dollars a day, a couple dollars a day, if you save a couple dollars a day, that can be $100 a month. And if you invest that in, say, a 401k, aka in the stock market, you put it in a stock index like the S&P 500 index, which is basically you just own a fraction of the top 500 stock companies, or you put it in the Dow Jones index, stock index. Stock index is basically you just own a fraction of all the top stock companies. Okay, so you're diversified, and you can just put it in there. You can set it and let it grow over time. Okay. This way you don't have to worry about it, and it just grows. When the market goes up and down, you don't have to worry about it. You just set it and let it grow. Okay. If you don't put your money in a 401k or something like that for retirement, if you don't just keep saving a little bit over time, if you don't save anything at all, and any financial advisor will tell you this. If you ever go see any financial advisor, which I recommend you do, or you can just listen to me, I'm going to give you the same advice here for free. It's really 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 good advice. Okay, and this is the problem here is that a lot of people, they end up in retirement with just Social Security, and I'm saying this it out of the goodness of my heart, in the best way I can. A lot of people end up in Social Security and it's just not enough to live on. It's just not enough to live on, right? And I think a lot of people realize this. And I say this with the most heartfelt, almost, it's really sad. It's almost tears are coming to my eyes, to be honest. I'm really sad about this. Social Security is just not enough. It's just not enough. That's why I get so kind of upset about this. I want so many people to be able to live comfortably, and that's why I do my giveaways. I try to help people with rent assistance. I try to help people with mortgage assistance. I try to help people with all the stimulus check news, what all the states are doing. I'm really hoping that there's a Social Security raise this year. But that's why I also try to help people and say that you got to save over time. You got to save over time, even if it's just a little bit. It's just a little bit, because realistically, most people can save a little bit over time. I'm just talking about a few dollars a day. If you take a little bit of money out of your paycheck, and it comes right out of your paycheck, it's pre-tax dollars, by the way. So you actually end up paying less taxes. Okay. So actually, that less taxes you pay is actually basically what you're saving. And if you get a company match, the company match is free money, is free money. So that company match can be I don't know, $100 a paycheck or something like that. That's free money. If you don't take that, it's like putting $100 out the window every paycheck and throwing it away. If you get a company match from your company, you have got to take that. You have got to take that. You got to put some money in to get that. But it's like saying, no, I don't want a raise from my company. Trust me, this is the best advice you will ever get from anybody. And if you don't have somebody like me to ever tell you this, you'll be thankful that you at least listened to this, because, and I'll probably get some comments of people saying, man, I wish I would have got this advice 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Um, but I mean, hey, I wish I was on YouTube 20 years ago to tell everybody this, but company match is a free money, free money. But you got to save money over time. You got to invest it. Like I said, a stock index is a really great place to put it. And when you put just a little bit of money and you invest it over time, you don't take it out, you let it grow over time. That little bit of money, every paycheck will grow over time to a lot of money. We're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of time. That's your retirement. And when you add that in addition to Social Security, then you have livable money. Then you have good money. Okay. That's what new pensions are. Pensions don't exist anymore. They're very rare. Okay. That's what pensions used to be. Pensions used to be the same thing. They used to take a little bit out of your paycheck, every paycheck, and then the company would match a little bit. You have to do the same thing for yourself now because pensions don't exist anymore. So you have to do the same thing. You have to take a little bit out of your paycheck and company match it. If the company doesn't match it anyway, you still got to do it. You still got to do it. You got to be financially resilient. You got to be financially. And the thing is that I'm going to get comments of people saying, Jimmy, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. You got to do it. You have to do it. If you take an extra, $20 out of your paycheck every time, you're not even going to notice it. You're not even going to notice it. $50 out of your paycheck, you're not even going to notice it. And then you're going to pay less taxes. So if anything, you're being offset by your taxes. You're going to pay less taxes anyways. So if anything, you're almost breaking even because you're paying less taxes to the government. And if you're getting a company match, if you're taking $50 out and then and your company's giving you $50, you're literally getting free money. Trust me, if you don't save anything over time, you'll never get ahead. You'll never get ahead. I'm not getting the money. This is money for you. This is your 401k. And when you switch jobs, the money, you transfer the money. The money transfers to you. You can just transfer the money to an IRA, to Vanguard. Vanguard, I highly recommend Vanguard. Really, really great company worth probably trillions of dollars. And you can just transfer the IRA to your own accounts. Your 401k is your money. It doesn't stay at your old employer if you ever leave, by the way. Really good advice. If you ever want more advice like this in upcoming videos, let me know. But you got to make sure you don't sell you don't panic when the market goes down. Remember, market always goes up and down, but over time they go, up long term. But let me know your thoughts. You got to save over time because pensions don't exist anymore. And if you don't save anything over time, years and years and years and decades are going to go by, and then you're going to be in the same situation. You're not going to have anything saved. So I was told this by men smarter than me, and I've learned this by men smarter than me. I read people like Warren Buffett. I read people, like I said, men way smarter than me, and I don't pretend to be nearly as smart as a lot of these men. But if you go pay thousands and thousands of dollars to financial advisors, they're going to tell you the same thing, and I'm just telling you this type of stuff for free. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. You got to save. It's one of the best things you can do over time, and you'll be thankful you did. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country that you need to know about. Click subscribe down below and let me know your thoughts. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can also click here to see our video where we just gave away $1,000 to our viewers in our What's in the Box contest giveaway. You can see who the winners are, and my wife is in that video. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.